Hello and welcome to Imperial College London's mini presentation on the types of interview that you might encounter. Congratulations on getting through to the interview stage. The first contact that you might have with the employer could be through a telephone interview. These are typically conducted as a very short screening interview to check that the person that they're talking to matches the application form and also is still interested in the job role. Telephone interviews can be conducted by the Human Resources Department, or they might be outsourced to a specialist firm or recruitment agency. They can vary in length from 10 minutes to 45 minutes, but they typically tend to be around 15 to 30. They're likely to test any or all of the following: so your suitability for the job role, your knowledge of the organisation and how you measure up to their key criteria, and that could be through competency-based questions. We have more information about different types of interview questions in the Imperial College London mini presentation on application and interview questions. So you want to prepare some keywords or bullet point notes to the likely questions that will come up. Listen to the question carefully, and if you cannot hear it properly, ask the recruiter to repeat or clarify it. Do pause before answering, as this will allow you to gather your thoughts. And given that the interviewer will have no visual clues as to your reaction, provide a verbal signal, such as "I'm just going to think about that for a few seconds," or "that's a really good question," and then give your answer. Do avoid writing out lengthy replies to questions, because certainly the interviewer will hear the rustle of paper or you clicking through your screen as you go through your notes. So keywords and bullet points are probably a better way of doing this. We also suggest that you dress the part, and whilst this might sound strange as you cannot be seen, it does help you get into an interview mindset. And smile, and this will hopefully come across in your speech and tone. The next stage in the interview process is likely to be a recorded video interview. So in a video interview, questions are automatically generated and timed, and there is no dialogue with the human interviewer. You, as the candidate, are recorded delivering the answers, and these are reviewed later by the selector. And this can be a different and difficult format to get used to. It's important to still come across as professional, prepared, and allow your body language to be as engaged and positive as it would in a face-to-face interview. Unlike other types of interview, you can undertake these at your leisure rather than at the company's convenience. There is usually a deadline for submitting your interview. Typically it's about a week or so to complete. And then you normally get given an app or a link with the initial interview and technical details, and do read these. If the instructions incorporate a practice facility, this can only be a benefit, so please use it. You will often be told what the video interview will consist of, for example 12 questions with 15 seconds to think before each answer. This can help with your research, practice and preparation. Questions, thinking time and answer time will all be cued and timed, so use the time before you speak to frame what you want to say, form a coherent structure and give the supporting evidence. An example question might be: give an example of a time when you showed initiative to solve a difficult situation. You have a maximum of 2 minutes and you have a short amount of preparation time. Once the preparation time is up, you will then move on to the next screen where you'll be recorded. Usually you will get a second chance to record your question, but do be aware that in this instance the recording will cut off as soon as you reach the 2-minute end of interview time. So make sure that you have carefully thought out how you would answer your question in the allocated time. As recorded video interviews are quite difficult to get used to, you can practice using a platform called Shortlist Me. So this is available to you as an Imperial College student. The link is at the bottom of the screen. And on Shortlist Me, there are a range of practice recorded video interviews from a number of different organisations. And these give you the chance to practice the questions and listen to yourself. And there's a matrix at the end where you can judge and score your answers. This platform is purely for Imperial, so none of the recorded interviews will go to any of the organisations, so it's just the opportunity for you to practice and self-reflect. and we really do recommend that you use this resource before completing any final video interviews. How are recorded interviews assessed? So many companies review all recorded video interviews in person. That's a selling point for a lot of companies, but a growing number are using screening software as part of the process. So AI algorithms could evaluate your answers through voice and facial assessment, and the idea is that this provides a fair and objective score recommendation. So the algorithms are designed and tested to be objective, and applicants with high recommended scores progress on to the next stage. Usually there's sort of a middle area where those applications are then viewed by a human assessor as well before a decision is being made, but there will be some that just won't meet the criteria at all. So it's crucial to ensure that when you are being recorded, you face the screen, you check your camera angle, you're in a well-lit space, and that you're likely to be uninterrupted. Moving on from pre-recorded interviews, you might then be invited to a face-to-face or panel interview. So a typical first interview will be around 30 minutes, and the interviewer is likely to be either a human resource professional and someone from the department in which you would be placed. Sometimes you might have a panel interview where there might be 3 or more interviewers. Some employers just have a one-stage process, and therefore a job offer may be based on the basis of performance in one interview. Many employers, however, may invite you to a second interview based on a successful performance in an initial interview. And you might have these as standalone, or they might be part of an assessment centre. Employers use a second interview to make a more informed decision about who they want to appoint. And candidates seen at this stage are definitely thought to be able to do the job, and your task is to confirm that positive impression. The interviewers, who could be technical or line managers, heads of research teams or centres, will normally have read your application and the notes from the first interview. Interview questions may therefore follow up on issues that were raised in the first interview, and your weaknesses may be probed to ensure your suitability. The second interview will probably take a bit longer than the first, and typically they're from 40 minutes to an hour and a half. We like to have some of the same types of questions, but make sure you have a fresh and enthusiastic approach. And at a second or third interview, you're really close to success. Do check your broadband or Wi-Fi connection and close down all other applications to prevent emails, etc. popping up unexpectedly during the interview. And as with recorded video interviews, face the screen fully. It can be hard to gain eye contact with each interviewer individually, so looking straight in the camera means you give everyone the same response. If you are somebody that is going to have these interviews face to face, you tend to give the eye contact to the person asking the question and then include everybody else in the panel in the overall response. So you start with the person asking the question and then broaden it up to the rest of the panel. Do think about what points you want to get across to answer in the interview. Reflect on your motivations and your previous experience. Think about your strengths. What makes you good at what you do? Are you particularly organised? Are you great at motivating people? And think of examples of where you've demonstrated your strengths, skills, competencies, and the behaviours that the interviewer is looking for. The ideal examples are recent and where you've had a personal impact with a good result, and they can be from any area of your life, so academic study, extracurricular work, sports, hobbies, work experience. Think into the detail of what you did, what was at stake, how you made a difference. Do avoid the temptation to learn your answers as though they're a script, as this can sound mechanical and may not deliver the best result. Just make notes of the key points you want to make and practice out loud. And aim to deliver your answer in a structured, confident and engaging way. Be positive in what you say, and if you're worried about how you present yourself, seek feedback from friends, family or the career service. Technical and case study interviews give you a chance to demonstrate to the employer your methods to problem solving and to showcase your analytical and technical skills. So you might be asked to talk through your approach to problem solving in a technical skills interview. For an IT role, for example, you might be asked how you'd handle a programming problem. In engineering, you might be asked, what are the design considerations for a wastewater treatment plant? Case study interviews are a little bit different. They tend to be used in consultancy and law, and we definitely recommend that you do some practice beforehand. Our case study activities web pages have more information about how to prepare for case study interviews. And we'd also recommend attending our case study lab, where you get the opportunity to work with other students in real life examples of case studies and present your findings to your peers. So it is important to understand some of the processes behind case study activities before you go into the real thing. For academic interviews, academic job interview is likely to include a panel interview with at least 2 interviewers, including your potential supervisor, and is usual for prospective PhDs and postdoc students. If the names of your interviewers aren't provided to you upon receiving confirmation of an interview, ask for their names and research them in detail. You may be asked to deliver a short presentation about yourself and your research experience, comment perhaps on a relevant paper, and this is usually provided beforehand, and be asked in-depth questions about your motivation for your research area. So, in order to prepare for this, read recent papers from those closest to your research area. Read other papers that have come from the department you're applying for. Review their department website, including their staff list, to get a feel for how you'd fit in. Revisit the job description and essential and desirable criteria and ensure you've prepared your answers for those. Talk to your peers about their experiences of academic interviews. And try and organise a mock interview, perhaps with job searching contemporaries or with the graduate school or the career service. Look again at the research you did into your own suitabilities for the job so that you have plenty of evidence to support